streets of Brooklyn, where stories grow wild to the glow of the stage where the dream meets the child. A quiet flame, a hidden spark, drawn to the words that lit up the dark. Curtains rose and so did he, finding power in poetry. One voice, one mic, one sacred truth. Every word he spoke uncaged the youth. He saw the world try to silence the bold, but his soul was wired to break the mold.
Welcome to Born to Speak to You TV, the show where conversations challenge your thinking, sharpen your leadership, and inspire you to move with purpose. I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs, and today's episode is titled The Pause That Pays Off. The Pause That Pays Off. We live in a world that celebrates speed, move fast, produce a lot, stay busy. But what if the real breakthrough doesn't happen in the rush? What if it happens in the pause? For many leaders and high achievers, the pressure to keep moving can drown out the very thing that they need most. And that very thing is clarity. And without clarity, even the most talented leader may find themselves exhausted, distracted, and moving in directions that truly just don't serve their purpose. So today we're exploring how intentional quiet time can create the space to think clearly, lead effectively, and take actions that truly matter. And to guide us in this conversation, we're joined by a leader who helps ambitious professionals turn reflection into clarity and clarity into confident action. We'll be right into it after this short message. Welcome to Born to Speak to You TV, where we're speaking life into the moments that matter. This isn't just a show. It's a movement. It's a space where stories are honored, voices are lifted, and truth has a mic. Each episode, we dive into powerful conversations on identity, on equity, growth, healing, leadership, and the courage that it takes to speak up in a world that often wants us to keep quiet. Whether it's through personal testimony, community impact, or artistic expression, Born to Speak to You is where voices rise and change begin. Our mission is simple: to empower people to use their voice, own their truth, and build bridges of communication and understanding. So, sit back or lean in, because you're about to witness what happens when passion meets purpose. This is Born to Speak to You TV. Let's speak life. And we are back. This is Born to Speak to You TV. And we're so happy that this episode is titled The Pause That Pays Off. With me today is a very special guest, Dr. Laura Aziz, who is a transformation coach and executive leader strategist who helps ambitious leaders gain clarity, build influence, and accelerate success. And she does this without them having burnout. With more than 30 years of leadership experience across healthcare, consulting, and Fortune 500 companies, she brings deep, practical insights to her work. So, Dr. Laura, welcome to Born to Speak to You TV.
Hello. Hi, Calvin. Happy to be here today.
Yes, it's so good to have you on the show. And as I like to say, let's get right into it. Let's jump into the deep end, because that's where the party's at.
Let's do.
Let's jump right into it. So let's talk about framing and philosophy. I like to call this the big picture. When you talk about quiet time, what does that actually mean in a world where leaders are constantly and consistently connected and overbooked?
Yes, that's a very good question, Calvin, because I think we all are experiencing this information overload and a continuous noise around us all the time. And it's hard to decipher what is true and what is our real desires. And having some quiet time, planning that quiet time in our days makes a big difference. So I like to say some quiet time in the morning, some quiet time in the evening are like the essential kind of bookend of the day, but also sprinkling some short quiet time during the day would make a big difference.
Are So, Dr. Laura, in your experience, what is the cost of leaders not creating that quiet space for reflection?
That's a good place to reflect. Obviously, if you are going on a very high speed and you're not paying attention and you're not giving yourself time to have deeper self-awareness, there will be a lot of stress. There will be a lack of clarity. And it could even worsen. It could be a sense of chaos.
Mm, okay,
So the price can be very high.
okay. Well, let's get into clarity and the clarity connection. Uh, does intentional quiet time really help leaders distinguish between what's urgent and what's truly aligned with their career goals? Can quiet time actually do that?
So I would say like a prescription, when I start a new coaching engagement with a new leader, I like to say, carve time in the morning and write down the top 3 things you want to hit today. Also, like I like the idea of the bullet journal, even if we don't use the exact bullet journal, but the idea of putting like in the margin, say, people you want to connect with, phone calls you need to make, birthdays, gifts that or greetings you want to send. Because if you don't do that, you keep holding them in your mind and it's weighing you all the time. Like you feel like there is so many things I need to do and I'm juggling too many things and I'm not clear on what are the top priorities. So I like to say, like, look at what you want to do for yourself, what you want to do for work, what you want to do for family, and what are some errands that just need to get out of the way, like things that you just need to get them done and get over with it. So starting the day with that clarity of what do I need to do, what are the top 3. I know we have on our to-do lists 10, 20, they keep scrolling. I sometimes have more than one page to-do list. Reality is we run out of time. So reconciling that and spending that few minutes in the morning thinking, what is the most important thing? Where is the most value to focus my time? That
Okay.
is the clarity I'm talking about here.
Okay. So with your clients, what kind of clarity would you say that they gain most often? Is it career direction? Is it boundaries? Is it confidence or something else?
I would say all the above
Mm,
plus more. So if you give yourself time to say journal, what's on your mind? Like what do you think about first thing when you wake up in the morning? Because that's going to be something that's weighing on you, something that you have to do, or a situation that needs to be fixed, a problem that needs to be tackled. So it's deepening self-awareness. And when you deepen self-awareness, you feel better, you're more aligned with your core values, and it will help you think of who are the people around you and look at them with under the microscope. Are they adding to my life, or are they causing chaos? Are they causing toxicity? And with that clarity and being able to assess what's around us, the people in our inner circle, we are leveraging our self-awareness, our analysis of the environment, awareness of others, and we will feel confident. We are coming from a deep inside our heart, deep in our heart, what we are seeing the future look like, what we are seeing the day unfolding. So if I know I have a colleague who is always complaining and drains the energy out of me, I want to reduce my exposure to that person. So that's where clarity and some quiet time in the morning can help me plan the day and focus on what's in front of me, what will get me closer to the goal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One thing that I have started doing that I have found to be very helpful to me is taking time in the morning when I get out of bed. The first thing is I read a little bit in my Bible. I reflect on a verse. I trust that the Spirit is going to show me a verse that is going to be relevant and helpful to me that day. I focus on that. I try to dig a little deeper into it to see what the meaning of it was intended to be and what it can mean to me. And I'm going to tell you, it makes things so much easier and clear to me starting my day off that way. After that, I look at my to-do list, my calendar, and I see what needs to be done. I move some things around if necessary, and it makes my day go so much smoother. And that's how I daily enjoy and embrace the quiet time. It makes a big difference in my life. So keeping in tune with the clarity connection, I do have another question for you. And that question is, you may have already answered this, but have you noticed any patterns in what leaders discover about themselves once that noise is removed?
So with that time to analyze what's important, to listen, and if you have a religious belief, if you read for inspiration, it will clarify things. I want to say that I'm not the only person. There are many kind of studies that say the first 90 minutes of the day are really your time. You kind of want to take care of yourself. So you want to feed your mind, read something inspirational, something exciting, something elevating. Also take care of your body, like if you're going to eat some healthy breakfast, if you're going to do even few minutes, 5 to 7 minutes of some exercises, stretches to open up, like mind and body connection. And that will guide you, will lift your spirits to start the day on the right foot, in the right state of mind. But I also like to say that it's good to keep a practice of short breaks during the day between different meetings, so you don't carry the energy from one meeting to the other. It's good to have some degree of separation, because some meetings trigger you. Some meetings you can meet somebody that you don't necessarily get along with or don't agree with their stance. And having that 2 minutes to let go, take a deep breath, and shift your energy, reframe your thoughts, will help you rejuvenate, revitalize, and go with a positive mindset to the rest of the activities during the day. So yes, I believe it is essential to take care of ourselves in the morning before we start meeting people and making decisions, to add that clarity.
Absolutely. It also helps with a person's mental health situation as well. I believe that once you can have time to yourself and settle yourself and kind of focus and gain that clarity, of course, it takes pressure off of your mind, and that helps with the mental aspect of things. Uh, let's move into practical steps and process. So let's say there's a leader, a a client coming to you, and they say, Dr. Laura, I just don't have time for quiet time. I have to keep moving. What would you say to that high performing leader?
Yep, I didn't say an example. I think you asked me for an example the last time with the last segment, but I want to share one example about how someone with this quiet time consistently was able to make a clear decision. So I had a client who was very stressed out and was not getting along well with the boss, but he had a good job. He had a good pay, good benefits, and he was torn between staying or leaving. And doing that exercise consistently for 30 days, he was able to come to the decision of what is right for him. So to just kind of tie the bow on how people can benefit from that, if there is a confusing bifurcation, let's say, in your life, where you have to make a decision that will take you either that direction or the other direction, having that quiet time with yourself is going to be fundamental to get the clarity and be able to make the right decision.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Laura. You mentioned during the day taking breaks between jobs or between tasks. So, in your opinion, how much quiet time is actually needed to start gaining clarity or staying in focus? I mean, how many minutes or hours? I mean, how much is needed?
Oh, that's a very good question. I think it's a personal decision at one point of how much time. And I would say if somebody's not doing it, to start very small. Like I like to use the 1% tiny habits that we hear about in Atomic Habits and Tiny Habits. So if somebody doesn't have this practice, I would say start with 2-3 minutes, like the time you take to drink your cup of coffee or tea in the morning. Similarly, in the evening, take some short time after dinner, for example, and capture your thoughts. Look back at the day and reflect what went well. What could I do better? As we progress, we can add more to it at the bookends of the day. During the day, though, because we're running from one meeting to the other, I would say 2 to 3 minutes. Like if you try to practice, and we teach that consistently, that meetings do not run into each other.
Right.
Like if it's a 1 hour meeting, finish at 50 minutes. If it's a half an hour, finish at 25. So you have some room to stretch, to breathe, to maybe step out and get some fresh air. So you don't carry the weight from one meeting to the other. You go with a clear mind.
Yeah, that's very important. And I do know that in our virtual world, especially, sometimes people will schedule back-to-back meetings. One meeting may end at 58 minutes after the hour, and then they got to go right into one that starts at the top of the hour, and there's no time in between. That time between meetings, I found, is so very valuable. It's time to, get a drink of water, stretch my legs, just, bend, or maybe even to just take a restroom break for a few minutes, take care of those needs as well. So yeah, it's very important to have breaks between events or between tasks. I'd like to move into obstacles and resistance, especially the resistance part, because I know what my body has tried to resist. What resistance do leaders commonly experience when they try to slow down? When they try to slow down, what kind of resistance do they commonly experience, and how do you coach them through that?
Very good question. One of the things that I noticed consistently is the belief that I have to do it. I know it all. I do it better than everyone else. And then overloading themselves with work and feeling like they are running 100 miles and they are breathless and there is no time to take care of themselves. And then that's the spiral of getting stressed out, overwhelmed, and burnout. So I do work a lot and in executive coaching, this is like foundational principle in time management. So like many people resist to do it. They just don't want to do it. It's overwhelming. They don't want to take a look at it. But when you do it, it's eye-opening, because you will see where the drainage is happening, like where are you wasting your time. So I had an executive in a pharma company, and he had a team of 30 people. But every time somebody wanted a piece of information from his team and asked him, he would just take the time, search for it, and send it. So as we were reviewing the day, I said, like, tell me, how do you spend your day? Like, where is the time, getting wasted? So he gave me that example, that he wasted like 30 minutes looking for a piece of information that a colleague of his asked. I said, was there anybody on your team, these 30 amazing people working for you, who could have done that? He paused and he said, of course, any one of them could have done it. And he's like, could you have delegated it? Like, why do you feel, and many leaders, I think that's kind of how they make it to the top, like working and being hyper achiever and doing everything, in very high speed and owning it all, but they are not able to pass on to others and share the knowledge, share the wealth, and delegate, and allow that quiet time in your schedule. Put it on the calendar. This is a non-negotiable, like after lunch, I'm taking this half an hour to think, because we need to think to do good work. I mean, it's not just at time. You need to think. So you need thinking time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Laura. We're going to put a pin in it right here, and we'll be right back. We're going to have a short message from one of our sponsors. This is Born to Speak to You TV. We'll be right back. And we are back. This is Born to Speak to You TV. I'm here with my guest, Dr. Laura Aziz, and this episode is The Pause That Pays Off. Dr. Laura, before the break, we were talking about obstacles and resistance that some people may have, some leaders may have, to not be quiet, to not take advantage of slowing down and getting some clarity as to what they are doing, what they should be doing. Are there any myths out there that people have about reflection that actually keeps them stuck and burned out?
I don't believe it's a myth. I believe it's not looking at life or at responsibilities with an analytical eye, with a critical thinking eye, and being honest, authentic in determining what is important, what is top priority. Also, I was actually just having this discussion with a client saying it's okay to be selfish. Like, it's okay to think what is right for me. It's not all about others. Yes, we are taught to help others and serve others, but that's after you take care of yourself. And many people resist that idea. They think it's not Christian, or it's not, a good citizen. And that is not true. Because when you're in a good place, you can help others. Your cup is overflowing. You can help others. But if you're stressed and somebody's asking for help, you will probably snap.
Absolutely.
So that's what people today call it leading self. So as a leader, you lead self, you lead others, you lead the organization. And today we also lead innovation, like AI that's taking over the world. But the foundation is leading self. That's where I'd like to start.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. I read a book years ago from Lee Iacocca. He was, I believe, the chairperson of Ford at one point. He got them reorganized and, back on track to, being profitable again. But one of the things he wrote in his book that really, really stuck with me is that no employee should have to work more than 40 hours a week. And that stuck with me because during that time I had been working on Wall Street, and I often put in more than 40 hours. Part of it was my choice to come to work earlier in the morning. I'm a morning person, and get started. And by the end of the day, I would be ready to wind down because all my tasks had been completed. But those that were not as organized, or maybe they came in 9 or 10 o'clock, whereas I came in 7 o'clock, they wanted to have meetings at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock meetings, which would force me to stay longer. And of course, we did not get paid for staying longer. And the cost for not taking advantage of keep working without any kind of structure is you lose time with from the things that are important that you were just talking about, like family, personal health, even sometimes just going shopping or going to the laundry, the dry cleaners can't get done. These are things that we need for our personal health, and it's very important for family. So I see those as some of the obstacles that we put in our own way. I have several clients that always have said, I'm so burnt out. I work so hard. I work 62 hours a week. What? 62 hours a week. And then I'm a parent. I'm a spouse. I have to come home and cook and clean and take care of the kids. And I was like, man, that's why you're so burnt out. They need to talk to you, Dr. Laura. So let's move the conversation on. I want to hear more from you. Let's move it to from insight to action. And once clarity is actually gained, once clarity is gained, how do you help leaders translate that insight into decisive, actionable, confident action?
Yep, great question. So there is a model that we use to kind of get us to action. So we say, thoughts drive emotions, emotions cause us to take action, and action creates results. So the action needs to be decisive action, a focused action to produce the desired results. And that's where, having the clarity on our thoughts. I like, and I use it in my coaching practice most of the time, all the time, and I recommend it to my clients in doing 90-day cycles because things are changing very fast. And the ability to focus on 90 days and take a pause and assess and readjust the action is the best way to get us to move faster without losing time or being in the wrong direction and having to readjust. Sometimes if it's not clear, I would say, let us do backwards planning. Like, what is the end game here? What is, like, when they say start with the end in mind, what is the end what is the goal that we want to achieve? And let's go backwards and measure these steps. So from start to end, from point A to point B, I would say let's come up with at least 4 to 5 clear steps and move in that future direction. One of the models that I like to share to help with thinking forward in spite of the chaos and create clarity is called PASAT. And it was, this model was coined by my friend and philosopher, Dr. Oleg Konovalov, in his book, Beyond Chaos. He talks about the PASAT framework, which is starting with the pause, the quiet time, expecting abundance from the universe, like there is plenty, there is a solution to every problem, simplifying our thinking, not making things complex, have a structured way to think, like isolating the different elements, being true and authentic in sharing with others and explaining what is going on and to ourselves, seeing things with authenticity. And the last T is to think forward. So that's the action, that we are talking about. Mm-hmm. We will not be able to move forward and take the right action if these other pieces are not there.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that, Dr. Laura. Let's move into another area. This one is personal and experiential. Was there a moment ever in your own career when quiet time led you through to a breakthrough or a major shift?
Wow. That's really good. So I spent a good part of my career, about 20 years, in consulting, doing mega projects in the US, almost every state in the United States, and overseas. I worked with the NHS, the National Health Services in the UK, with the Emirates, the United Arab Emirates, when they were building their health system infrastructure, and in Calgary, Canada. So I did some very big projects, and I was always going very fast. There wasn't enough time. But as I started to think, okay, what's next? This is not sustainable. I'm not going to live all my life running like that. I started learning about coaching. And I have not met anyone at that time that called themselves a coach, an executive coach, career coach, success coach. I have not met anyone with that title. So I don't know where it came from, but I think it was that revelation, like that download from heaven that there is something else, that I need to focus on. And it took me a while, I took so many courses. I liked the content, but then after taking all these courses, I discovered that they were continuing education courses, not certification courses. So, but that happened when the pandemic hit early in 2020, and I had some extra time. There was no consulting work, no travel, so I was able to register and formally take the certification courses to become a certified executive coach.
Okay. So still on a personal note, Dr. Laura, how has your relationship with stillness evolved as your leadership and your influence has grown?
It's a practice that I have to train myself on all the time. So even sometimes when I sit, my mind start going in all directions. So I like to take notes. I always take notes. So I'm a big believer in journaling, even in a casual way, like just capturing your thoughts. But it helps me a lot in coaching because I like to think about my clients. I don't want to hop on a Zoom call and see my clients without being prepared. Like I like to look at my notes, even short notes that I took, or some of the things they asked me for, and have them in my sight, kind of envision them in the morning before I meet with them, and try to be their guide, try to be their confidant, be in a place where I can listen to their issues in a non-judgmental way and be able to help them. So that's my quiet time. That's where the stillness helps.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Laura. We're going to stop right here for a short break. It's time for Straight Talk with Calvin, and then we'll be right back to continue our conversation. This is Born to Speak to You TV. Welcome to Straight Talk with Calvin. Let me give it to you straight. Some of you are not exhausted because you're doing too much. You're exhausted because you're doing too much of the wrong thing. You're moving, you're grinding, you're saying yes, you're not clear though. And clarity doesn't come from chaos. Clarity comes from the pause. You see, we've been conditioned to believe that if we slow down, we fall behind. But the truth is, if you never slow down, you start to drift. Quiet time isn't weakness, it's strategy. Think about it as a chess move. And when you pause long enough to hear your own thoughts, you start separating the pressure from purpose. You start to separate urgency from alignment. You start to clear out the noise from vision. And once you're clear, this is what happens. Your nose gets sharper, your yes gets stronger, and your action gets intentional. And that's how you gain influence without burnout. That's how you lead without losing yourself. Because sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to stop. And that's the straight talk. And we are back. This is Born to Speak to You TV. I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs. My guest today is Dr. Laura Aziz. We've been talking about the pause that pays off. I want to get back to close out this segment, Dr. Laura. Let's talk a little bit about alignment and collaboration. The question for you is, how do you typically, I guess the word is integrate this work that we've been talking about into coaching, into speaking, into leadership development programs? How do you integrate that into those programs?
So every coaching engagement, if we focus on coaching, I mean, there are so many other obviously modalities that we leverage in professional development and personal development. But if we focus on coaching, usually it starts with an assessment. And the purpose of the assessment is to get that clarity on what is going on, what is working. Like if you think about it, it could be summed up in 3 questions. What is going well now? What is not going well now?
Yeah.
And what could be changed? What small steps even that could be taken that can make a difference? And back to the pause to get clarity, that's where we start answering these questions in a moment of truth, with ourselves, like looking at ourselves in the mirror. And that's part of the coaching engagement, to use your coach, anyone, obviously I'm not talking specifically to you, Calvin. Anyone can, if you have a coach, you want to be transparent, you want to be clear, and you want to have clear, concise, sharp, well-focused goals. Without clear goals, coaching and any other attempt to develop and grow and transform is not going to happen. You have to have that precision in what you want. So that's how a coaching engagement is structured. And then we bring in resources, we explore options. And I can show you this. I bought it especially for my clients at the beginning. I say the coach is like a bridge. We are a bridge to help people go from point A to point B, from where they are today to where they want to be. And that is the transformation.
Okay. I like the visual. I love that. Sure. So, Dr. Laura, if you could have a leader walk away from your practice or mindset shift with just one idea, what would you want it to be? If leaders walked away with just one practice or mindset shift from your work, what would you want it to be?
That's a very good one. So I like, and I know for many of us, especially those who come from faith-based cultures, we like to believe in hope, that there is hope. I like to believe that there is no problem that doesn't have a solution. But I always personally felt there is a little bit of a challenge when I say the word hope, because people in the business world will tell you hope is not a strategy. And I read that point in one of the journals. I like to read a lot, different journals, especially in psychology and leadership and strategy. And that was the first time I was able to create a map between hope as a spiritual thing and the business side of it. So in the business side, hope is having agency, believing in oneself, that we have the ability to make decisions, and having a roadmap, knowing the pathway to get there. So being able to make a decision, the agency, and having a roadmap to get us from point A to point B, to where we want to go.
All right. Very good answer. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Laura. So I'm going to ask you now, so what's next for you?
Thank you. That's a great question. So I am actually holding a master class in a couple of weeks on the 27th. And this master class is focusing on 5 steps to go from zero to founder. So it's for people who are tired from working in corporate America and the grind of 9 to 5 and the challenges and the chaos. And is AI going to take my job? Or people are feeling burnt out because every day there is a new tool that they have to learn to stay on top of the AI game. And I felt that is my calling, like what I did for myself, transitioning from being a consultant, working for big companies, to starting my own business and the foundation. So it took me a few years to figure out the love of coaching is not enough to have a successful business. So there is coaching and there is the business of coaching. The same for consulting. If you want to be your own independent consultant, you can be a great consultant, but you want to have good business strategy to continue to succeed. So these are the 5 steps that I'm going to be teaching in my master class on the 27th. And I'd like to invite anyone who would like to join us. It's in the afternoon. So it's easy and it's going to be fun. I like to call it's going to be a party. We're going to spend time together and talk about what we can do to help ourselves get to the next level.
All right. And our viewers can reach Dr. Laura. The information is on the screen. You can reach her at info@Meva Solutions. That's MEVA solutions.com. And her email is lauraaziz@gmail.com. Dr. Laura, I want to thank you for being a guest on Born to Speak to You TV. And I hope you can come back in the very near future. It's been a pleasure to have this session with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Calvin. Bye.
Okay. And we'll be right back after this short Born to Rise tip. Hi, this is Calvin Gibbs with Born to Speak to You TV, and here's your Born to Rise tip for today. You're not stuck. You're just committed to certain patterns of behavior that in the past may have worked for you. But guess what? You've grown past those patterns of behavior. Now they're more harmful than they are helpful. And the reason that you can't move forward is because you keep applying an old formula to a new level in your life. That old formula, that is for where you were. But you've moved on to another level. And it's time to have a new formula, a new solution. So change the formula and get a different result. If you keep doing what you did when you were there, it's not going to work out. You've moved on to another level, change the formula, and step into your purpose. You were born to rise.
From the streets of Brooklyn, where stories grow wild, to the glow of the stage where the dream meets the child. A quiet flame, a hidden spark, drawn to the words that lit up the dark.
What a powerful reminder we've just had. The pause is not weakness. It's not laziness. It's definitely not falling behind. It's leadership. Today we learned that clarity doesn't magically appear in motion. It's cultivated in intentional stillness. And when you gain clarity, your decisions, they sharpen. Your confidence strengthens and your actions become aligned, not reactive. And that's how you build influence without burnout. That's how you move forward without losing yourself. So here's your challenge. This is for all of our viewers. This week, schedule one intentional pause, not scrolling, not strategizing, not multitasking, just space to think, to reflect, to ask yourself, is what I'm doing aligned with where I'm going? Because the pause doesn't delay success, it directs success. And if this conversation added value to you, then make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share this episode with a leader who needs it, and stay connected with Born to Speak to You TV. Our QR code will be coming up on the screen in just a second. You can get more conversations that challenge your mindset and sharpen your leadership. And interact with us on our Facebook page, on our and on DFN Broadcast Studios website. I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs, and I also want to thank DFN Broadcast Studios for allowing us this opportunity to even have this show. And until next episode, keep speaking life into the moments that matter.
Of Brooklyn, where stories grow wild, to the glow of the stage where the dream meets the child. A quiet flame, a hidden spark, drawn to the words that lit up the dark. Curtains rose and so did he, finding power in poetry. One voice, one mic, one sacred truth. Every word he spoke uncaged the youth. He saw the world try to silence the bold, but his soul was wired to break the mold. Now he walks in purpose, pure and true. He was born to speak to you. He's got that rhythm in his truth, that fire in his flow. Speaking life into the moment, watch it grow. Every phrase